In this lecture, we are going to understand about one more runtime plane called as ANYPOINT Platform Private Cloud Edition. So what is this and when to use it? Earlier, when I was discussing about runtime fabric, we understood that the Mule applications will be running in our own data center managed by the customer hosted runtime plane. But the control plane is still managed by Mulesoft. Right. But let's assume that we are developing some confidential applications and our government regulations say that everything should be within our own data center. There are strict security policies to be implemented. We don't want the control plane also to be managed by Mulesoft. Right? So in such cases, what we want is, we want the control plane also to be inside our own data center. In such scenarios, you can use private cloud edition. That means the entire cloud will be within your own data center. And of course, again, still this private cloud edition also will be using Kubernetes and Docker for running your application instances. So let us see now how it looks like. So there are different types of configurations recommended by Mulesoft. The first one is 3-node configuration. So 3 is the minimum number of nodes that can enable high availability and failover. So in this 3-node configuration, each node hosts the platform applications and services along with your application instances also. Right? You must configure a load balancer to use round robin distribution among these 3 nodes. Right. So each node also hosts a database and an object store. Right. So you can see this diagram to understand it. So I'll just maximize this. You can see here, this is a 3-node configuration for private cloud edition. So here you have 3 nodes. In every node, the platform services like Exchange, API Manager, Runtime Manager, you can see here, Identity Manager, etc. are running on each and every node for achieving high availability and failover. And on each node, again, a database is there, which all these applications might be using. That's not our application specific. These are platform specific services. All these platform specific services like Exchange, Manager, Runtime Manager, they'll be using a database. And database will also be present in 3 nodes. As well as one more thing called as file store. Basically this is for storing objects. Object store will be here. Right? So on every node, although each node contains a database, only one database is used as a master. Applications on each node write to this database only, and the other 2 database instances are hot standbys so that they will take over once master fails. So this is a 3-node configuration, but there is a 6-node configuration where the platform services will be running again on separate nodes, and our application instances, the databases, file stores will be running on these nodes. Right? So the only difference between runtime fabric and this private cloud edition is, in private cloud edition, everything runs in your own data center, including the control plane like API Manager, Runtime Manager, Exchange, Identity Management, everything will be in your premise. So if your application is having strict regulatory compliances and you don't want anything out of your data center, then only you can go for private cloud edition. Right? Otherwise, mostly runtime fabric will be a better option if you want your applications to run inside your premise. Or if you don't have any such restriction, then you can put your applications on Cloud Hub. Remember, Cloud Hub also is very secure because your applications are deployed in a virtual private cloud and nobody else can access it. Only thing is you can configure your own firewall rules for your VPC. You'll have full control even though it is on Cloud Hub. So based on your scenario, you have to decide whether you want to go with on-premise installation. That means on-premise means what? Without Runtime Fabric and Private Cloud Edition, you can just run your Mule server instances on your machines. You have to decide whether you want to go with on-premise or Cloud Hub or Runtime Fabric or Private Cloud Edition, right? So if you are running on-premise without Runtime Fabric or Private Cloud Edition, you are responsible for managing, starting and stopping these instances and creating a cluster of these instances, etc. And remember, only if you are having Mule runtimes managed by you without Runtime Fabric, etc., domains are supported here only. Domain applications can be deployed where under one domain there can be multiple applications. In rest all runtime planes, domains are not supported. So again, you can take a decision based on this. If you want domains, etc., you can of course manage your own runtime instances. And again, only in this option, in one Mule runtime, it is possible that multiple applications can run, right? But whereas in Runtime Fabric, Private Cloud Edition or Cloud Hub, every application will be running in its own Mule runtime on cloud. So if you want application isolation, if you want your application to run in isolation, then you can either go with Cloud Hub or Runtime Fabric or Private Cloud Edition. If you are not very specific about application isolation, then only you can go ahead with Mule runtime on premise without a Runtime Fabric and Private Cloud Edition. So like that, you now know various options. When you are deciding about the physical view, you have to consider all this and decide where you want your deployment, how many workers you want, what is the capacity. You have to do capacity planning as well. So all this have to be taken into consideration when preparing the physical view. That's all about deployment strategies and this section. Okay, hope using all this knowledge you'll be able to design and document your physical views. I'll see you in the next section.